Boris Johnson told devolution genie out of bottle as Sturgeon ramps up independence push. Boris Johnson was warned that calls for Scottish independence have gone too far, with the UK now at severe risk of breaking up. Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon is too far along with her plans for independence for Mr Johnson to stop her, a leading trade unionist and Labour member told Express News. Things took a sudden turn this week when the Scottish National Party's SNP National Executive Committee published a paper outlining that an independence referendum deadline of March 31 must be set for Westminster in advance of the Scottish Parliament election in May. The deadline would include the requirement to agree to a Section 30 request which would transfer power to Holyrood for a referendum. If the Prime Minister did not agree to the Section 30 order, the paper says Ms Sturgeon and the SNP must make independence the focus of the upcoming election campaign. Mr Johnson has consistently refused to entertain the idea of a second Scottish independence referendum, following the once-in-a-generation ballot in 2014. He said the gap between the referendums on Europe, the first in 1975 and the second in 2016, was an example of a good sort of gap, while speaking on the BBC's Andrew Marr show. This would mean that Scotland should not think about calling another referendum until 2055. Others like Paul Embury, the trade unionist, are sceptical of this rhetoric from the Prime Minister, and say the demand and fervour for Scottish independence may have gone too far. He told Express News, "I think the strength of feeling for independence in the devolved administrations, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, tends to grow when the Tories are in Westminster. Many people in those countries are not Tories and see the Tories as the enemy and see independence as some sort of escape from it. But in many respects I think the genie's out of the bottle." Ironically, the whole point of the new Labour government under Tony Blair, bringing in devolution 20 years ago, was because it felt there were moves towards independence, and actually devolution was a way of choking off any campaign for independence. Blair thought, well, if we give people devolution that'll kill independence. But actually, I think the opposite has happened, it's added momentum to the campaign for independence. So I don't think that genie's going to go back in the bottle.